Hi, this is Dr. Zullo, and I wanted to talk with you about maximizing your discussion board grade. Um, I've, uh, I'm going to give you an example of how you should best answer your Unit 1 discussion board. And this is after the fact, and I'm doing it on purpose after the fact. I didn't want to quote unquote give you the answer and then have everybody give the answer that I provided. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the process you should go through so that you can maximize your grade in discussion boards. And it's not just this one discussion board, it's all discussion boards that you participate in for post-university. So it's about a three-step process, and I'm going to go through those three steps. If you follow these three steps and answer all of your discussion boards like this, you'll probably get the best grade. An important thing is going to be grammar, punctuation, syntax usage, that kind of stuff, and I'll show you some tips on how to best do that. But what I use when I'm getting ready to do a discussion board is Notepad. So what I've done is I've created some Notepad files that I'll use to demonstrate. Um, let's start with that one. So I'm going to show you the three-step process I use. First thing to do would be to go into your unit and read the discussion board assignment. This is something the instructors will call the prompt. Okay, what we're doing is we're prompting you to reply. All right. So it's important that you read the entire prompt before you start working, because sometimes there's stuff in there at the end, and you don't want to start with the first sentence and then just, oh, okay, I'll write about that. So first thing is make sure you read the whole prompt and then break it down. All right. So what I did here is I created a Notepad file. It's just a simple text editor. Everybody's got it on a Windows computer. You've got an equivalent on a Mac product. You've got an equivalent on a Google product. So find the kind of tool that you like to use. But notice, primarily, I am not using Blackboard. Right? I'm using an outside tool. So first step is to say, all right, here's my prompt. Every technical profession has its tech speak, and information technology is no different. So right now I'm introducing to you what you need to do, and that is speak in technical terms, all right, regarding information technology. Share about the computer and IT technologies you own. So computer and IT technologies that I own, that's the important thing, and use regularly, and include technical details about processor speed, storage capacity, throughput, peripheral devices. All right, so again, technical detail. All right. I might need to talk about the processor speed, the storage capacity, the throughput, peripheral devices that are connected. Don't limit yourself to one device. You include smartphones, tablets, gaming systems, and any other embedded systems that you use. In response to your peers, select a technical specification in a classmate's post that is different from yours and compare the two systems' performance for the device purposes. So first, this is the prompt for your initial post, and now you've got a prompt for your replies. All right, so this is what I'm going to summarize in my Notepad file. Computer and IT technologies that I own. Now I have to start talking about the technical details about, these are the three things I've got. I've got a laptop. It's a Dell Vostro 5590. And I know that because I'm looking at it and it says so right on it. I've got an iPad Air 3rd generation. Well, I remember that because I bought it. And so that's all I really remember about it right now. And I've got an Android Galaxy J3V cell phone. Right? Those are the things that I remember off the top of my head. But here is the key to getting a great grade in every discussion board, and that is I've put these things from memory into a file. Now I have to do some research, and whenever I do that research, I have to provide references that will support the information that I'm providing. All right, so step one is break down the prompt. Make sure that you're writing about all the right things. I read the prompt all the way through from beginning to end. All right, this part's about my replies, so I'm just going to focus on this part for my initial post. I broke it down into the pieces that I need to answer, and now I'm going to do some research before I go and post on the discussion board. So what am I going to do for research? Well, there's lots of things I could do, and one of the things that I can do, for example, is to use some of the skills that I learned in the chapters that I read for the Unit 1, right? So Unit 1 says, for example, to read chapters 1 and 2, core hardware components, peripherals and connectors, right? Some of the information in there are how to, for example, look up some performance for your hardware. You may have, for example, learned that you can press Control-Alt-Delete on a Windows computer, come up with this file or this application called Task Manager. And in your Task Manager, the performance of all your items, or not all, but most of your important technical things are here. Here's my CPU's performance. It's got a base speed of 2.3 gigahertz. It's a one socket 4-core processor. Right now it's utilized at about 23%. I've got 8 gig of memory, or sorry, 16 gig of memory, 15.8. I've got 18.2 committed. I've got 9.5 gig cached. Okay, so here's a whole bunch of technical details about my memory. All right. Here's some information about my Ethernet port and things that is working. Here's information about my GPU, my graphics processor unit. All right, so here's some technical details. But what I wanted to do is do some research and find out what are all the basics of my laptop. And so I'm going to research that. I'm going to research my iPad. I'm going to research my Android Galaxy cell phone. So that's step 1. Break down the prompt, know what you need to research. Step 2 is to do the research. All right, so here's what I did for the research for the 3 items that I need to talk about. I need to talk about my laptop, right? So what did I do? I went to, I typed this into my browser. My browser returned this website, or it happens to be an online PDF, but this URL for me to find the information about the Vostro 5590 laptop owner's manual. All right, and in that owner's manual, I was able to summarize that I've got a processor. It's an i7-1051, 1.8 gigahertz Intel Core 10th generation processor. I've got a 64-bit DRAM bus. I've got 16 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM at 2,666 megahertz. I've got an onboard NVIDIA GeForce MX250 video card. I got 13.3-inch QHD plus video monitor. I got an onboard network interface card that's 10, 100, and 1000 megabits per second. I got a backlit keyboard. I've got a touchpad mouse. I got a front camera that's 0.92 megapixels that produces a 1280 by 720 HD 30 frame per second image. All right, so those are all the technical details. But I didn't just pull them out of my head. That's not just knowledge that I have sitting in my head and I can just regurgitate it all. I went and I found it. Okay, I did some research. This is the key. I'm emphasizing it again because this is the key. Every discussion board that you participate in expects research. So do the research. When you do the research, store the information. All right. Then when you post, tell us the reference. All right. So I did that same basic thing to my tablet, my iPad Air. All these things about my iPad Air. Where did I find them? I happen to have found them on the Best Buy site for Apple iPad Air with Wi-Fi 64 gig silver, right? Because that's the iPad that I have. I looked up my Android Galaxy J3 cell phone, and these are the facts that I got about it. And where did I get them? at devicespecifications.com, and that gave me all the details. So I had 3 items to talk about. I researched those 3 items. I read the content of the 3 websites that I went to. I summarized those things in my case, a notepad file. That doesn't really matter what kind of file you use. What you're doing is you're gathering data to write. All right, and now I'm ready to write. I've broken down the prompt. Step 1, break down the prompt. Write out all the things that you need to, or I should say, outline all the things that you need to write about. Step 2, do your research. Store your references. Summarize the things that you need to talk about in your that are part of the prompt. And now I'm ready to write. So step 3 is to write. So what do you write? Well, this is a discussion board, right? So here's the discussion board, and how am I going to write this discussion board? Well, you always start a discussion board with an introduction. Hi, classmates and professor, right? That's a pretty common one. And then I take the information that I have, and I'll kind of show you step side by side here. I'm going to take the information that I have that I got from my research, and I'm going to put it into essay form, because the discussion board is basically a mini research essay. Right? And I say I have 3 computing devices that I use. First, I have a Dell Vostro 5590 running Windows 10. All right, it has a Intel Core 10th generation, blah, blah, blah. So I'm writing out the specifications. You see this right here, this is not an essay. This right here is an essay. All right, so when I'm talking to another person, right, which is what the discussion board is about, you're not saying bullet point Intel Core 10th generation, bullet point 64, right? You're saying I have 3 main computing devices. First, I have, right? So this is your discussion, right? Write your essay, include all the things that you found, and I put my links at the bottom, because when you write something in APA format, right, you write it in full sentences with space between each paragraph, and now I got to the end. I've got 3 references. Right, I'm going to have to work on that references. They're not correct yet in APA format, but they're there, and so we're going to take a next step. All right, step 3 was therefore writing it all out. I've got it all summarized into actual essay writing, and now I'm going to finish up. Before I go and post this, there's at least 2 things I want to do. All right, one thing I want to do is I'm going to take all this stuff right here and copy it, and then I'm going to use my handy dandy word processor to open it up and paste this information into my word processor. And that's important because you might have errors that you didn't notice, right? Spelling errors, grammar errors, punctuation errors. There might be a bunch of problems in here that I didn't notice because I was focused on the information and not the writing. Right? So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. There we go. So you can see it a little bit better. All right, so I've got a notepad here, and that's fine, but notepad is not going to correct my grammar, right? It's not going to correct my spelling. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look to see what does Word say about everything that's underlined. So let me follow along with, right? First I'll do the red stuff, right? It's underlining capital M, capital H, small z. Well, that's actually an appropriate abbreviation, right? Mega is always a capital M, and Hertz is always capital H, small z. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just going to let that go. There's also a Wi-Fi. Okay, Wi-Fi, that is an appropriate term. Well, I've clicked on it, and now it's telling me Wi-Fi would best have a hyphen. All right, that's fine. If that's the way Word thinks it should be, it's not wrong. Oh, look, this one's spelled wrong. So I'm clicking on it. It's going to say, do you mean resolution? Yes, I do. 0.92 megapixel camera. Yeah, you know what? Hyphen is not right there, so I'm just going to ignore that piece of information. I misspelled connect. It's got two N's. Fix that Wi-Fi again. Hyphen. Embedded. Well, looks like I misspelled that one too. All right. So far I've checked everything that's got a red or blue underline, but here's something here. It says that's all I can think of. Tell me about your stuff. And then I put a little smiley face. Well, you know what? An emoticon is not professional communication, and the discussion board is for professional communication. So I'm just going to get rid of my little smiley face. And now, with the exception of a couple of things that Microsoft Word doesn't think should be there, but I checked them and they are supposed to be there. I'm going to recopy that information, repaste it into my, so all my corrections are in my text file. And that's great. And I don't really need Word. I'm sorry, don't really need Word, so I'm not going to save those things. I've corrected, I use Word for what I needed it for, which is to fix my grammar, spelling, any problems I have. There's my name, there's my references. All right, here's an important thing. I've got, oh, look, let's click an error. Hold on a second. Yeah, here. I'm going to make sure they're correct because I'm going to take this next step to show you a little secret. Right, and that little secret is I don't know how to make an APA reference, right? But I do know a website. I'm going to go to www.owl, that's online writing lab, owl.purdue.edu, owl.purdue.edu. Why can't I reach it? Yeah, I don't know why it didn't come up that way, but anyway, here is owl.purdue.edu. And that is Purdue's online writing lab. And what's great about this is no matter what course you're taking at, no matter what college you're going to, they've got a great writing lab that's available to you 24/7 to help you with your writing. This is what I'm going to go under: research and citation, APA style. All right. Here's a formatting and style guide for references. All right, because that's where I'm going. And I could read all about this, and I recommend it, especially if you're an English major, that you should read all about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this right here, and it's called Citation Machine, right? And I'm going to take my first citation, right, which is for my Dell laptop, and I'm going to paste that link into this spot right here because it's a website, and I print the link, and I'm going to click cite. And what it's going to do for me is it's going through its process of saying, here are the results that I found. This is my owner's manual, and I can choose either one of these things. They're both pretty much the same thing. I can click cite, the cite button, to create an APA citation. And you're going to get a lot of ads too, I'm sure, but here is my APA citation. I'm going to click continue. I can now supplement my APA citation. Do I know who the contributor was? What author? What's the author's name? What's the website title? Dell.com was the website. Who was the publisher? Dell is the publisher. When was it published? I don't know. And if they don't know, I don't really care. What date did I access it? Just imagine I accessed it here today, November 4th, right? Using today's date. I can click the complete citation, and that's a good example of what you might encounter, right? You're using a service online for free, and so it's telling you, well, here's your price right, for using our service. Our service is to provide you with an APA reference without your effort. And now you got to watch an ad. So I'm watching an ad about smoked brisket at Chipotle, and it is over. So I should be able to get back to my life. Well, how do I get back to my life? Great. Can I get back to my life now? Click on the elements in the ad to engage with it. When there is enough interaction, oh, I have to actually interact with it. There we go. All right. Okay. Now, here's my citation right there. And what I can do is click, I just created the citation. I can copy it. Well, you know what? I could now add a reference. And that's what I'm going to do. Here's my reference list. I'm going to create a new citation. I'm going to copy my Best Buy ad, or my Best Buy link. Website. Here's Best Buy. And I'm going to abbreviate this by not doing the full thing, which is what I did with the first one, like adding authors and etc. I want to just move forward a little more quickly. And then I'll do my third, which is my phone. From website, paste the URL. All right, and the value of using these little tools is as you go through them, you can add the things that you know about, and the things that you don't know, you can leave blank. And what, oh, golly, advertisements. There we go. What you get at the end is, now look, I've got a pre-made APA citation list references. Here they are, references. Tells me Best Buy comes first, even though I did that in the middle. Dell comes in the middle, and then Samsung. Why? Because they should be in alphabetical order. What I can do now is click this Copy All button, and what they've done is for me is pasted that information into my clipboard, and I can paste it here now properly. Site 1, Site 2, Site 3. All right, get rid of my links instead. And now I've got an essay, fully written, fully researched, checked for grammar, checked for punctuation. All right, I've signed my my post. I've supplied 3 APA references, and now I'm ready to post on Blackboard. So go back to Blackboard, go to your discussions area. You don't have as many of these as I do, but and now I'm going to create my thread. Dr. Zulo's example. And copy, paste, make sure that it looks all good. Now, APA, when you're writing a paper, don't use live links. It's okay if they're in here because it's a web page. It's all right. And now I'm ready to post. So now I've got a full, complete, referenced discussion board post. This will maximize your grade on discussion boards. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'll talk with you again soon.